Hola! Today we are going to review the preterite versus imperfect, everyone's favorite. So just remember, these are guidelines, not rules set in stone. So first we're going to talk about when you would use the preterite. So different ways to remember the uses of the preterite. So an acronym to remember this would be Scary Turtles Don't Bite. Scary Turtles Don't Bite. So the S here stands for single completed action in the past. T would be action completed within a time period. D would be a definite number of times. And B is the beginning or ending of an action. So first we're going to start with the S for scary. So it's a single completed action in the past. So we took the test. We did it, it's done. It's a single completed action. I practiced volleyball. I practiced volleyball, I'm done practicing volleyball, single completed action. That will always be preterite. Turtles. Action completed within a time period. So if we know exactly how long something lasted, then it will be preterite, not imperfect. So we kissed for 2 hours. That's a very long time, but we know the time frame, so this will be preterite. I did not sleep a lot last week. So last week would be our time period here. We know exactly how long we're talking about. This will be preterite. Don't. The D stands for definite number of times. So if we know exactly how many times something happened, it'll be preterite. I hit him twice. So twice is exactly 2 times, so that's going to be preterite. We restarted the computers 3 times. Even if it says 500 million times, if we know exactly how many times it happened, it'll be preterite. And then the B in bite stands for beginning or ending of an action. So you started the project. You began the project. If something only starts or ends once. So if we're talking about the very beginning or the very ending of an action, it'll always be preterite. We finished the homework. Alright, and the 7 uses of the imperfect. Carlos really downed some tacos with Ana is an acronym to remember the uses of the imperfect. C for Carlos, standing for continuing actions or actions in progress, ing words. R, standing for repeated habitual actions in the past. D, descriptions. S, state of being. T, telling time. W, weather. A is age. So Carlos, continuing actions or past actions in progress, ing words in English. We were studying. You were reading. He was listening to music. She was writing a paper. Anytime you're talking in the past and you're using an ing word in English, it will be imperfect in Spanish because of a continuing action in the past. So for example, yo dormía durante la fiesta. I was sleeping during the party. So even though there's a time period, la fiesta, the fact that you are wanting it to translate to was sleeping will override the time period. You will never, ever, ever use the preterite if it translates to was doing something or were doing something in English. If you're using an ing word, it will always be imperfect. Dad was washing the dishes and Mom was watching TV. That's another example of ing words where you would use imperfect in Spanish. So that was Carlos. Carlos really. The R stands for repeated habitual past actions. Yo dormía durante todas las fiestas de mis padres. I used to sleep during all my parents' parties. This is a repeated habitual action. Since it always used to happen in the past, we're going to use imperfect. If that had said a certain number of times, even if it said 500 during 500 parties I used to sleep, then it would go to definite number of times and be preterite. But because it doesn't say a certain number of times, it just says I always used to do this, we'll use imperfect. More examples of really, mi familia y yo íbamos a Disney World cada verano. We used to go every summer. So because it was every summer, we don't know exactly how many summers that is. It's going to be a repeated habitual action. Down, the D stands for descriptions in the past. This will also include locations. So mi hermano era muy gordo de niño. He was very fat as a little boy. La noche estaba oscura y fría. The night was dark and cold. It was a dark and cold night. So anytime we're describing in the past, we'll use imperfect. Some, the S stands for state of being. This is anything that's in your head. So this is what you like, what you want, how you feel, what you know, what you think. Anything that's in your head would fall under state of being and be imperfect. So no sabíamos qué decir, we didn't know what to say. ¿Podías hacer la tarea? Were you able to do the homework? These are some common verbs that are associated with state of being. Querer, poder, saber, desear, sentir, creer, preferir, pensar. So to want, to be able to know, to wish, to feel, to think, to prefer. These will all be state of being words. Yo pensaba que tú no querías ir. I thought that you didn't want to go. Tacos. The T stands for time. So anytime you're telling time in the past, you'll use the verb ser and the imperfect. So era la una, it was 1 o'clock. Eran las 10:15 cuando te llamé, it was 10:15 when I called you. Please, please, please be careful not to confuse this with an action that happened at a specific time, because then that would be a single completed action. Here we're telling time. For example, imperfect, eran las 2 de la tarde. It was 2 in the afternoon. Preterite, single completed action, yo vine al colegio a las 2 de la tarde. I came to school at 2 in the afternoon. The second one is a single completed action that happened at a certain time. The first one we're telling time. With stands for weather in the past, so anytime you're telling weather in the past, you'll use imperfect. Estaba caliente y húmedo, it was hot and humid. Hacía buen tiempo para el partido, it was nice weather for the game. Here's some more telling weather words. And then Ana, the A stands for age. So telling age in the past, remember we use the verb tener. So mi hija tenía 5 años cuando se rompió el brazo. My daughter was 5 years old when she broke her arm. So a lot of times that also tells something that happened at that age, which would then be a single completed action, but telling the age will always be imperfect. Then there's verbs with special meanings, like querer in the imperfect would be wanted to versus preterite tried to. No querer would be didn't want to versus preterite refused to. Saber in the imperfect would be knew versus preterite found out. Conocer would be knew versus preterite met. Poder would be could or was able to versus preterite managed to. Haber was like the existence of something. There was a squirrel existed, versus preterite, something occurred. Alright, so please review these notes. Preterite versus imperfect is a difficult concept for many people, and we will be practicing with this a lot more in class. Feel free to email me at gmanson@geneva304.org should you have any questions, and have a great night.